Yaddle Chattle! And it's a Star Wars podcast, baby. My name is Darth David. You can call me that. You can call me Davey Mack. You can call me Eastside Dave. Whatever you, I have as many names as Jude Law in the Skeleton Crew. It don't matter, daddy. The main thing is that you're listening to Yaddle Chattle. We're gonna mix it up about the Star Wars and about the Skeleton Crew. Woo! Episode 3. Hey, guess what? I'm feeling pretty good about the Skeleton Crew now. I am starting to feel like we may have a miniature hit on our hands. Action, fun, hope, things that make sense, easy to understand stories that still have a little bit of mystery and some twists and turns. Right now, they're getting a lot right with Skeleton Crew. That's a lot of rights that I just said. Right now, they're getting a lot of right. Okay, currently, they're getting a lot of right in the Skeleton Crew. I'm telling you, I'm into it. Episode 1, solid introductory episode. I thought episode 2 was better. Very short, but better than episode 1 and episode 3. I thoroughly enjoyed. Might have been my favorite episode yet. We're rocking. We're rolling. We're talking Star Wars is what we're damn doing. We're doing Yaddle Chattle. Let's go. And I just watched the John Williams documentary on Disney Plus. So now I pretend that I'm a conductor with a pencil. I should have done my little pencil when I was playing that orchestra. But that's what I've been doing lately, is putting on John Williams music and just pantomiming that I'm a conductor, because I've lost my mind. No, let's talk about Skeleton Crew, okay? 3 things about the kids that I need to clarify from last week, because I said that KB's name was BB, and I was saying that's a lot of BBs in the Star Wars universe now with the BB-8. Her name is KB. But that's important because I want to bring this up again, okay? I don't think that Skeleton Crew is just sort of Goonies in space or Stranger Things or an Amblin type of picture. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I love all of that shit, including E.T., so on and so forth. This is an entire love letter to the 1980s. And so, of course, the kid with the gizmo on her head, KB Toy Store. Come on, if you grew up in the 80s and went to the damn mall, you would remember that KB Toy Store was the shit. Yeah, I know. Toys R Us with the big warehouse was gigantic and they literally had everything. But when you went to the mall, you had to go to KB's Toy Stores because they let you play with the toys. That was a big deal. That was huge. The remote control cars, boom, you could just go take the car out into the middle of the mall and start racing that bad boy. You know, and they'd have some teenage employee just kind of making sure you weren't going to steal it. But my Lord, KB Toy Store, I remember that place. I loved it. And so again, this is what I'm saying. This is a shout out to the 80s. And I'm going to go you one further. Neil. I love him. He's fantastic. Have you seen what Neil is dressed like? With the red overalls and the long sleeve shirt? The fucking kid is dressed like my buddy. If you grew up in the 80s, you remember my buddy. He was just a little kid that I guess if you were like a 9-year-old who wanted an inanimate best friend. It wasn't like a Cabbage Patch Kid where you actually had to raise the Cabbage Patch Kid from birth. And you had to feed them and make sure that they were planted in the ground, you had to put water on them, or I don't know how it worked. But my buddy was the best friend equivalent of the child-parent relationship. If you just needed a pal, you got my buddy. Why? Red overalls. Like I said, with the shirt. Go and Google my buddy. And here's one thing you don't have to Google, the My Buddy theme song, because I'll give it to you right now. In fact, you remember this? Should I do it with the special effect? I guess it's out of battery. But I don't want to do it with okay, fine. I was going to do it with the, remember the song? My buddy, wherever I go, he goes, my buddy, whatever I do, he do, my buddy and me. All right, well, that's why I'm going to be evicted soon. Like breakout musical performances of 1980s commercials like that. They hate me. She hates me upstairs. I'm just going to be honest. And the feeling is not, it's not mutual. I think she's just fine, but not a fan of the Dave man with the screaming, the yelling, and the singing. Okay, the mental disturbances. She's often told me, do you talk to yourself? I say I do podcasts. And then she looks at me like she doesn't believe me. She does that. Yeah, okay. Sure you do podcast. You're just the crazy guy. Because honestly, I do go outside, like when I take the trash, I tend to talk to myself and or sing to myself to pass the time because it's like a 3-minute walk to the garbage can. So she and the rest of the residents here at the apartment building, they think I'm actually the resident crazy person. Anyway, so we got Neil with the My Buddy, KB with the KB Toy Store. Boom. This is what I'm saying. Watch out for the 80s Easter eggs, not just Goonies, E.T., shit like that. But watch out for, I think everything. Okay? I want to see some Garbage Pail Kid fucking characters. How would that be? Remember those things, those little cards? They were very, very dark. I loved it. I remember there was this one kid called Adam Bomb. A-D-A-M, Bomb. And then his head was like having a nuclear explosion. That he was one of my favorites. So I would like to see maybe a Garbage Pail Kid enter this fucking series. But, and my final thing about the kids, not 80s related in any way, shape, or form. If you like rock and roll, as I do, and if you like The Strokes, are you familiar with that band, New York City band? The Strokes, do you know them? Wham. Looks like a miniature version of Albert Hammond Jr. Okay, go check that out as well. By the way, Albert Hammond Jr.'s debut album, solo album, called Albert Hammond Jr., fantastic. One of the great rock and roll records that doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Listen to Albert Hammond Jr.'s self-titled album, Albert Hammond Jr. He's a grown-up version of Wham, or Wham's a kid version of him. I don't know, but I'm just saying. Okay, so that had nothing to do with the 80s, but KB and Neil, definitely. Although the Strokes the Strokes do have an affinity for the 80s. If you heard some of their music on their, their fourth album, they had like a keyboard, kind of groove going on with some of the songs. Definitely had an 80s vibe with some of the songs. I believe that was on their fourth record. Anyway, let's get to it, okay? Skeleton Crew. I'm into this show. I'm into the episode. Now, here's the only thing I'm really not into. Atten, ironically. I don't want to see the grown. I don't want to see the parents. They were only there for like literally 2 minutes at the beginning of the show, so I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm just saying that when we watched Goonies and shit like that, did they even show? Weren't the parents usually shown in a lot of these movies at like the beginning and the end? E.T.'s a different story because the mom was part of it with the divorce and shit like that. But usually, like a Goonies, I think, right? It's the parents at the beginning and the parents at the end. Like, we're not checking in on the parents, are we? Throughout the movie? I don't think so. But in any event, the show, I find that a little boring, and I'm not a big fan of the parents in general. They're just, there's not a lot there. The kids are, but hey, that's a good thing. The stars of the show, the people who are eating up 99% of the screen time are the kids, and now Jude Law. All of the actors are getting the job done. Big fan of all of the actors who bring a spark. What was missing from the last series in such a profound way, what was missing from The Acolyte was that spark, that Star Wars spark. Just a little glimmer of hope. A spark in the eye, if you will. Fun dialogue, a little charisma. You know, a little pep in their step. You know, in The Acolyte, everyone was so morose. It was so depressing. I found all of the characters to be glum and gloomy. And that just does, excuse me, that doesn't fit Star Wars. This show is getting it done in terms of an energy, the pacing, the editing. They're using Star Wars wipes, which I think are working very well on this show. The Star Wars wipes are making this show feel fast-moving, in my opinion. I mean, this episode, to me, felt fast. 40-minute running time, I believe. And again, check the credits. This episode had 6.5 minutes of credits. So you're getting a 34-minute episode, but still, that's better than the 25-minute episode we got for episode 2. Nevertheless, the grown-ups, okay, fine, they're only there for a couple minutes, but then boom, we get the skeleton crew, we get the kids in the brig, and Jude Law, and they're escaping. Remember, Jude Law got the key at the end of episode 2. Love the aliens. Okay, we're getting some good alien action right here. They make their way through. They get on a little ship, tiny little whatever the fuck thing is, little transport there to get to their main ship. They get in the main ship, and then what happens? They go, we got to go back for SM-33. That's what the kids tell Jude Law, and he's like, what? And in all honesty, Jude Law had a point. I mean, come on, kids. You can't fucking tell me that, like, when we're here, when we're at the brig, I'm 1 second away from pressing the warp to light speed, and now it's, go back and get SM-33. You do realize we were just there, right? You couldn't have said something 5 minutes ago. Now I gotta put my neck on the line for this guy? Jesus. So if I was Jude Law, I would have been a little bit pissed off right there. And Jude Law's name is Jod, I believe he said to the kids when they were introducing, each other at the brig. He used the Force again. But anyway, the kids guilted him. They said, hey, you got to go back and get it. You got to get SM-33. By the way, when they were on that little transport to go to their ship, Fern said that was too easy. I wonder was she saying that she thought Jude Law is a plant? That maybe he's secretly working for Brutus? I don't see that. Especially since he escaped and they were trying to hunt him down and kill him right there. So I don't think he's a part. I think he's on his own. I wonder why she said that was too easy. That's a curious line right there that I've been thinking about. I don't have any answers. Except unless she thinks that Jude Law is somehow still with those pirates. Anyway, he goes back to get SM-33, and I loved this scene where he's, first of all, he's flicking on the other droids in the little shop there to see which one's SM-33, and then it gets to that one, and the droid's blind. He's got no vision, and he keeps bumping into things, and he says, the prince is in danger. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. That guy seems like he's from the Clone Wars or some shit, right? I thought of like the prince fish, the little prince fish, the Admiral Akbar people. And they had a prince there, and then wasn't there a prince? Yeah, in Mandalorian Season 3, he was one of those guys. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that droid is somehow attached to that prince or Clone Wars or one of those, Akbar type folks. The whatchamacallit, the calamari, the Mon Calamari there. Or is it calamari the food? I like calamari the food, but I'll tell you one thing. Don't give it to me without two things, a lemon and plenty of marinara sauce. Just calamari on its own. I mean, come on. And I don't even say like just calamari with the matzo, with the marinara sauce. You got to have the lemon too. Okay? If we're going to have the fucking calamari, let's do it right. And if I'm eating calamari, am I eating the children of Admiral Akbar? The offspring? Because that's not right. That's not right at all. So Jude Law, great scene. There's one of the crew, one of the pirates comes in and recognizes him. Captain, is that you, Captain? Oh, always with a fire in your belly and a plan of scheming or some shit like that. I'm loving the pirate accents and the pirates' way of talking in this show. I love pirate shit. I love all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, all of them. And so I can't get enough of pirate talk, okay? I'm just being honest. There's something I love about pirate talk, pirate music. I'm a fan of the Pogues. Shane MacGowan, rest in peace, was practically a pirate as a goddamn lead singer. I mean, I just like pirates. So this is working. He, the guy that says, hey, why would Brutus let you out before your trial? And that's when we don't even see what happened. If, Jude Law did something to that guy, the next thing we see is a wipe, and then he's on the little ship. Well, we go to the kids. They're debating whether he's a Jedi or not. And next thing you know, boom, here he comes. He gets on. Another great action scene. Fast. And let me tell you something. The music. Getting the job done in this episode, and I thought in episode 2 as well. I'm loving the score of this damn show. I looked it up. Mick Giacchino. I says to myself, Michael Giacchino, I love, we all do. Lost, not to mention obviously Rogue One, but the Lost score and the Rogue One and all the Pixars and the Incredibles and the blah, blah, blahs. So I go, who is this? This is his son. This is Michael Giacchino's son. Mick Giacchino. Apple don't fall far from the tree, though. Great score thus far. And that scene was exciting. They're trying to get away on the ship, but it's tied down with the fuel line. And he decides, screw it, Brutus is there. He's got the guys. He's got the cannon in position to blast them to hell. And he says, screw it. We got to go to hyperspace to get off this thing. And they get there just in the nick of time. The fuel line goes back and hits everything. I love bad guys not moving is always great when shit's blowing up. And Brutus just standing there while, the docking bay was just falling apart on him, and he just stands there. Great look right there. Brutus is a winner as well. So this is what I'm saying. Show's giving you a lot of good stuff here, in my opinion. Anyway, great action sequence. And then we're on the ship. He's eating some food, he being Jude Law. That was a fun little part there. Neil's stomach is growling. These kids are like, come on, what the fuck? You going to give us a little food? Huh? We've been running around for like 3 straight days. Help us out. And we did. And when Neil and Wim sat there at that little diner place, they didn't even get to eat. They had to run away because everyone was chasing them down for their gold coins. So, he finally says, hey, there's more food in the pot. Some sort of green type of thing, neon green food. I'd like to try it. I'm not going to lie. It looked kind of good to me. Jude Law goes off. He's kind of walking around looking at this ship. Thought popped into my head. Does he know this ship? I feel like Jude Law knows this ship. Or what I'm saying is knows the history of this ship. Or might suspect, maybe this ship is like famous. What if this ship, obviously this looks like a pirate ship. We've seen pirates. It's got the pirate shit. Episode 2, literally there were pirate hats. There's a crew that's been murdered. So maybe for pirates, this is some mythical pirate ship, or at least they thought it was mythical, that wanted to find Ad-Aden. That went to search Ad-Aden. And that's why Jude Law's like, because even when they were on that transport, when they were all there, escaping the brig and flying up, he goes, wait, that's your ship? But I felt like he wasn't saying, that's your ship, like the way Leia would be like, well, what a hunk of junk, like looking at the Millennium Falcon. I felt like it wasn't that. It was almost like he kind of recognized it. Am I wrong? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Tells the kids to get to sleep. They all do, but all of a sudden KB is looking at him like she don't trust him. She did the calculations. She finds it very hard to believe he's a Jedi. Now, I don't know how you would do calculations for that. That strikes me as a difficult calculation to make. Since if the Jedis weren't hiding, how would she know how many Jedi are out there even? Strange calculation there, but nevertheless, he says you got to go with your gut. Okay, get some sleep. Now, get some damn sleep. They arrive on the moon. Classic silhouette shot right out of Spielberg there, right out of E.T. and just your classic silhouette shot of Jude Law and the 4 kids walking, and you see this great planet behind them. So kind of cool that it's like different rather than them on a planet and the moon is the silhouette. They're on a moon and the planet forces a silhouette. And by the way, when I wrote this word silhouette down on the paper, I tried to spell it 5 separate times. Impossible word to spell. If you are wanting to win a spelling bee, okay, study that word. Because if you get silhouette, Jesus Christ. At one point, I thought there were 2 L's and 2 T's. Then I thought there were 1 T and 1 L. And then I thought it was O-U-E-T-T-O-U-E. It's one thing after another. Very hard word to spell. Silhouette. Don't try it, folks. Okay? So they get to the damn door. They get to where they're going. He knocks on the door. And Kim apparently is the person's name. He says, Kim, I need your help. Okay, these kids are here. We got to find a map. We got to find their way home. She invites him in. We realize that Kim is a little owl, which was fun, I thought. I thought Kim for a second, when they just showed a shot of Kim's hand earlier, I thought she was going to be a Yoda creature, like a Yaddle. I'm thinking, oh my God, is Yaddle back? Because it was a female voice with the little 3-finger claw there, just like our man Yoda and Yaddle. I'm thinking, oh my God, is Yaddle back from the dead? I know they showed her getting killed by Count Dooku and Tales from the Jedi. I know. But who knows? Oh, he chopped her head off too. Well, I mean, still, that would have been tough to get past. But you never know. Star Wars. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't Yaddle. It was Kim, the owl. And Kim says, okay, I'm going to help out the kids. So I'm going to try to find your planet. And she goes through all these different things. At one point, she gets a patch from Fern and says, if I put that in there. Also, the gaseous planet. They said there's some gaseous planet, which is exactly what I said, why it was hidden. The gaseous shit keeps it off the radar. The kid said, like a cloud, there's some sort of gaseous thing. I guess maybe some of us suspected that, but still, it's now confirmed. Anyway, she finds out where the planet is, and then all of a sudden, she's stalling. Jude Law calls her out, says, if I did. Oh, and by the way, we learned that Jude Law's name is Crimson Jack, which is how I'm going to be referring to him. Because Jod, whatever that was, first he was Captain Silva, then he's Jod, and now he's Crimson Jack. That's why I've been calling him Jude Law. So I'm either going to be calling him for the rest of Yaddle Chattle Jude Law or Crimson Jack. Those other 2 names we don't need. Crimson Jack, by the way. Oh, shit. So obviously he worked for Crimson Dawn, eh? And by the way, am I the only one who gets Paul Bettany and Jude Law confused from time to time? Like a Nick Nolte, Gary Busey thing? Or in the 80s, Kurt Russell, Patrick Swayze? Huh? Don't tell me you didn't get those 4 people confused. And now these days, I'm getting Paul Bettany from as Vision. I'm getting him and Jude Law confused. 2 British guys, slender, and similar faces, in my opinion. Anyway, Crimson Jack, he realizes Kim is stolen. Big fight, fun fight sequence. He just throws the owl away. He gets the map. Okay, we got it. Let's go. Let's get out. And they get out, but not so fast. Here come some X-Wings. Now, I thought the part where he gives the controls over to Neil and the kids were disappointed was funny. And then I like the part where, he shows them, Neil's going to fly because Fern and Wim have to shoot. And they were all excited, especially Wim. He was just loving that. He was loving that. How did I feel about the X-Wings being shot at by the kids? I was conflicted, especially because Wim really knows his Jedi history. I mean, he knows the tales of the Jedi inside and out. You'd think he would have learned, one of the greatest Jedi of all time, Luke Skywalker, flew an X-Wing. I feel like Wim would actually have known that. But then again, they didn't know about the war, right? Was that established that they didn't even know about the whole Empire, Death Star, and shit like that? All right, so maybe he doesn't know about the X-Wings then. I just found it a little hard to believe that Wim wouldn't recognize an X-Wing as like a good guy ship. But nevertheless, they didn't kill anybody. They hit one of the wings. X-Wings had to land. They said it's too dangerous to shoot at that ship with the kids inside. And Kim's like, okay. And they go, where did they go? And Kim goes, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Kim, I looked up the actress, wasn't familiar with the actress, but I also looked up SM-33, who's voiced by Nick Frost. Shaun of the Dead type of guy. That guy, Nick Frost. Hot Fuzz, Nick Frost. So that's fun. Nick Frost is getting the job done in a big way in SM-33, who's rapidly becoming a top 5 droid for me. Yeah, I said it. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the droids that can speak are just kind of 3PO-esque. This is the first guy he's got nothing in common with a 3PO, with any kind of protocol droid. I mean, even K2SO from Rogue One had a little 3PO in him, is what I'm saying. And he was a killing machine. He was an Imperial droid killing machine. And he had a little 3PO in him. Not this guy. This guy would fucking drink 3PO under the table, for Christ's sakes. You feel like this guy goes into that droid bar from Mandalorian Season 3. He gets a shot and a beer, and he starts picking a fight with like half of the other droids in the place. I'm telling you, this is a badass droid with the great accent. Nick Frost getting it done. The X-Wings, like I said, they land. Ship gets away. Hit the hyperspace. Boom, they're gone. And the lady says, Kim says, like I said, she really basically doesn't want to, I don't even think, tell them. So she's like, you know what? I can't. If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. So I think she wanted the kids to get away. And I do think we will be seeing Kim in the future. She did tell KB, if you ever need me, don't hesitate. Make sure you call me. And KB's like, okay. I always would say, like, how do I call you? Like, that would be my follow-up question. Okay, I'll call you. How? What's your phone number? What's your cell phone? Can I get the digits, Kim? Let me tell you something. Quick episode, fast episode, just like this episode of Yaddle. Because honestly, here's the deal. So far, so good in a big way. I thoroughly enjoyed episode 3. And the other thing I thought about it with regards to the last series, with Star Wars shows I've found now officially, just like the movies, with this series, I have to watch the episodes multiple times a week. Not even just to do Yaddle, but because I want to watch the show multiple times a week. You know how many times I watch? I always do a watch with, so I can do the old notes deal. So I always watch it, right before Yaddle, right before I went on. I gave it another rewatch, right? But you know how many times I watched it before then? 3 times. As opposed to The Acolyte, it was an awful show. It was boring as sin. Watched it once and then forced myself to watch it the second time just for the notes deal for the Yaddle episodes. But in other words, I watched this show 4 times. But 2 of those times were rewatches I just wanted to do, including one immediately after I saw the episode. Boom. Let's refresh. Let's do it again. And then I take a couple days off and I rewatch it again and I go, this show is fucking good. Or this episode. I didn't realize that John Watts, or is it Watt? Is there an S at the end? I don't even know. I don't know a lot about this John Watt guy, except that he did the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. Well, guess what? I fucking love all those Spider-Man movies, especially this last one with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. What a movie! Oh, that was a great comic book movie right there. That third Spider-Man where you had all 3 Spider-Mans in them. This guy is good. It's not just that he shows great action. He just knows how to tell fun stories. Fun. My goodness. Sometimes that's all you need with Star Wars. If you're intimidated by the mythology and this and that, okay, just make these shows fun. This John Watt, or Watts, understands the concept of fun. These shows are fun. So he's getting the job done. This show is good. I can't wait to see the final 5 episodes. I think we have something here. I hope it. I can't. Right now, I can't see it falling off the edge of a cliff the way Acolyte did. Because remember, they did it in episode 3, and then episode 4 was terrible, and episode 5 was shit. And I don't know. There was one episode that was okay with the Jedi because it was largely, people fighting with lightsabers. But outside of that one, they were pretty bad. This show, on the other hand, has fun characters, good dialogue. It's snappy. It's fresh. The Star Wars wipes give it some extra energy. Action. Man, this is the way to do it here. Okay, we got to get back to things like this, and so far, so good. We unless Star Wars, unless you go in a very dark route, down a dark road, unless there's a real purpose for it, people don't want you just having a dark, depressing show, just right out of the gate. I think people want fun characters, adventures, a little lightheartedness at times. Then after a season or two, or if this is a movie, after a movie or two, then you have a darker episode or a darker movie. It's like having a darker chapter. No problems. But not right off the bat. That was the problem with the series before. Right off the bat, those characters were very depressing and very dark. Think about this. Indecisive as hell. Osha, seeing her friends get killed and being like, I'm going to kill you to that Sith Lord dude. And then just basically, oh, actually, no, maybe I won't kill you. Maybe I'll join you. Like, huh? Well, okay. You don't get that with it. The kids might just run headfirst in trouble, but they're doing something. That's what it's about. They're decisive. So far, so good, folks. I don't know about you, but I'm getting excited here. All I can tell you is they got to keep it up, and I think they will. I'm not going crazy with, Star Wars is back. We got to have some hit movies. We got to have some big-ass hit movies to be like, okay, Star Wars is back. But they're putting out these shows. They're spending money on them. We need them to be good, too. It is content. And so far, this works. It's not that complicated. Have some fun characters. Have action. Put plenty of Star Wars in it. Aliens. A good score. Some couple moments of humor. Some, weird-looking aliens, but also aliens that look like animals. That is a Star Wars tradition. Going back to Admiral Akbar. Going back to everybody. I mean, there's so many characters you could say. The pigs. The Gamorrean guards from Return of the Jedi. You get, the weird aliens. You get the funky aliens. Then you get the animal aliens. We got the owl. We got the werewolf in Brutus. The owl with Kim. Oh, and by the way, special shout out to that six-eyed rat that comes out of SM33's left eye. I love that shit. And by the way, shout out to Left Eye Lopez of TLC. R.I.P. I'm loving the show. I am happy. I hope you are. I understand some people are getting a little fed up. Give this show a chance. We got something here. That's just my 2 cents. As far as my other shit goes, SM33, remember my prediction last week? Sith Master 33. I predicted that was a clue that Jude Law was a bad guy who will basically realize he likes the kids and will do right by them. What did we learn? Crimson Jack. He's got the Force, yes. But he trains with the Force, I think, with a little bit of the dark side, with a little bit of, what Kira in the Han Solo had. That kind of thing. But I think that he is going to, at the end of the day, say, you know what? I like these kids. I'm going to step up. I'm going to save them. You know, a lot's going on right now with Skeleton Crew. I mean, let's be honest here. They're going back to Ad Adden. I can't imagine they're going to get to Ad Adden right now. So what do you think? I mean, they're in hyperspace. I can't imagine they're going to get to Ad Adden by episode 4. I'd like to think there's going to be, another planet or two that they're going to be visiting. We'll see. Episode 4 is going to be very interesting. A lot going on. Hey, I like it. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys are liking Yaddle Chattle. I'm Darth David, a.k.a. David Mack, Eastside Dave. Good night, everybody.